Hi, my name's Rachel, and today we're talking about Cassie Clare, and I insist that you sit down and listen while I talk. Cassandra Clare is the author of the wildly popular Shadowhunter series, which consists of too many books now. I own some of them. I brought them out of storage so that you could see them. You're welcome. And after this video series, I'm getting rid of them. Today we have part 2 of a 3-part series. If you would like to watch part 1, it is linked in the first thing in the description box down below. Part 1 was talking about Cassie Clare's plagiarism plagiarism scandals all the way back into her fanfic origins. We talked all about that for a decent chunk of time, so if you'd like to watch that first, it is linked down below. Today we are going to concentrate on her love of sibling love. So this is Authors Behaving Badly, Cassandra Clare, part 2. We're going to talk about the non-stop, repeated, constant antics of Cassie Clare in regards to her love of brothers loving their own siblings in a not brother sibling way, if you catch my drift. And when I say repeated, I mean it. And unfortunately for my eyeballs, not only have I read all 3 instances, I've also read 16 years of proof, including tweets from Cassandra herself, that she is not trying to do this to have a conversation about the theme of incest in fiction, the morality of such a thing, the politics of such a thing. No, nay, she has stated before that it's a kink. But then in more recent years, she tries to gaslight, as she does with everything, and has ignored what the screenshots literally prove that she said before. And she's just trying to pretend it all never happened, but I won't be gaslit, Miss Ma'am. I see you. So let's dive in. I've got so much to show and tell today. I am like a kindergartner capitalizing, monopolizing all of the show and tell time to show you something that I think is the thing for you to see. If you watch any of this 3-part series, watch this one because I feel like it just shows like the depths of gaslighting to which she will go. Obvious trigger warnings apply though. Obviously the incest. Also we're going to be mentioning assault and Harry Potter. So just know that going in. First, I'm going to say this before anybody asks in the comments, what is the lipstick I'm wearing? It is Fempower Beauty by Blair Armani, and the shade is Ubuntu, and I'm wearing it in matte. There's also the option to do it dewy. The idea of wearing something dewy on my face makes me grossed out. I'm a matte girly. Moving on. That's the shade. I'll leave a link down below if you want it. It was my Christmas gift to myself. I'm really just like going all fucking in on the purple. Anyways, and now I must do the other thing that I always do. Thank you for being a friend to my patrons. First to those paying my therapy bills. Eric, Jill, Lex, Harley, Molly, SJ, and Zachary. Thank you for being a friend. I appreciate y'all. Today's therapy comes in the form of reading good books. I'm gonna need it. And to my potato starch Marxists, Aiden, Allison, Anita, Brittany, Caitlin, Carlin, Chris, CJ, Corwin, Diet Goth, Ebby, Eden, Elise, Aaron, Gracie, Horror Goose, India Inks, James, Jen, Jillian, Jules, Kate, Katie O, Quinn, Kylie, Laura, Marcella, Morgan R, Morgan W, Moth, Nicole, Paige E, Paige P, Peggy, Reba, Ray, Ren, Sammy, Sarah, Shannon, Sean, Sinclair, Talia, and Writer A. Thank you for being a friend. I appreciate y'all. If you want to join Patreon, the link is down below. You get early access, sometimes voting. We chat about books and some other perks depending on the tier that you choose. Also, if you're interested in commissioning me to read a book, yours or someone else's, the link is down below. And last housekeeping bit, I promise, the super nice folks over at Javi have partnered with me again since we had a really nice and successful partnership, which is nice. I don't tend to do partnerships. I get emails sometimes that I'm like, but it's coffee, so like, this one I was like, absolutely. They have partnered with me to give you 20% off of their condensed coffee. You keep it refrigerated, you pour 2 teaspoons in your milk of choice, or water, I guess, if that's what you're into, or do chocolate milk. That's fun. And you just stir it and then it's coffee. which is nice, especially if you are a parent like me, or if you also, like me, are terrible at time management and don't have time to make coffee, so you have to literally make it in 2 seconds. Anyway, my fellow caffeine connoisseurs, if you are interested in Javi, once again, they've partnered with me. The link is down below. That takes you directly to the discount, and yes, it does support me and my channel, so thanks to Javi again for the partnership. Okay, let's do this. Today, let's discuss first on the list of things we're going to discuss regarding Cassie's incest behavior in fiction. Let's discuss Cassie's fanfic, The Mortal Instruments. No, not that one. I'm talking about the original Mortal Instruments by Cassie Clare with an I. What do these two things have in common besides the name? Well, one is just more incesty than the other. Rachel, what do you mean more incesty? Don't worry, I'll read it to you. And for those of you stans who are inevitably here, who are like, look, the incest in the book turns out to be fake, I would like you to explain Sebastian. Actually, don't explain it. Don't explain anything because I read the books too. I know what I saw. Okay, The Mortal Instruments by Cassandra Clare was created April 26, 2004. A fanfic to the tune of 10,783 words. When she originally posted The Mortal Instruments, Judith, did you forget that's her real name? Don't worry, I'll remind you, said this. And this story was posted on Cassie's live journal, by the way, in a post titled Sick? Wrong? You betcha. And the introduction reads, well, a few days ago I posted about the long Weasley-cessed fic I'd written, and a few people expressed interest in seeing it, so here it is. I went back and forth on whether or not to post it on my live journal at all, given the NC-17 rating and the unusual subject matter, incest. But finally decided that I would trust that people who don't want to read about incest will not click the live journal cut tag and not read the story. Well, you're wrong. Because I don't have an interest in incest, but I do have an interest in your weird behavior. I've always had sort of an interest in incest as a symbolic fictional theme, and I tried to use it symbolically here. Liar. You're a liar. There's nothing symbolic about it. You wrote brother, sister. It's nasty. The inspiration for this story, started 9 months ago now, came from Kitsune13, who said she wanted to read a story in which Harry and Hermione fall in love, thus driving Ron and Ginny into each other's arms. So, Katja, this one is for you. The secondary picture was this picture here by Alessandra. So, rated NC-17 for taboo sex, dark themes, and Ron spiral into complete insanity. If you don't like the idea of any of the above, please skip this one. Also, the only Harry Potter story I've ever read that does not even mention Draco Malfoy. And I want to point this out to you. Many thanks to Black Holly and Trombone Borges for the betas. Black Holly. Yes, that Black Holly. That Holly Black. So the person to blame here is not just Cassandra Clare. It is the creator of Carden and Jude herself. Holly Black is to blame for the incest. Holly, you need to answer for your crimes, ma'am. Oh, my hair's in this. Gross. Holly Black, beta read this and said, yes, good. Okay, that's fine. It's fine. It also should be stated that part of the reason that she wrote this was because she hates the idea of Harry and Ginny together. She said in Fiction Alley in October of 2001, while I don't generally care for Ron Hermione, Harry Ginny is the only ship I hate with a fiery, uncontrollable passion, probably because it is generally presented as horrifically dull and sappy. Harry and Ginny generally have no tension between them, no entertaining fireworks, no passion, not much of anything beside a one-sided crush on Ginny's part and a rather pathetic desire on Harry's part to have a family, rather as if he's dating some sort of Weasley amalgamation rather than an actual girl. If Harry has to hook up with a Weasley, I bloody hope it's Ron. Despite being a Harry Potter fan, Cassandra Clare actually hates Harry Potter. She hates him. I did read it. I have excerpts to show you, but if for some reason you hate yourself enough to read it on your own, the entirety of it, you may or may not be able to find it on Scribd. I'm just saying. It begins with Ron. He's home for the summer in the burrow, and he's trying to distract himself from the fact that Harry and Hermione are together. Flashback reveals he walks in at Hogwarts on them kissing. He's like, I'm fine with it. He's not fine with it. He's super jealous because he's into Hermione. Ron tells Ginny, who's also upset, and she's like, Ron, why didn't you keep them apart? Because, you know, Ginny's into Harry. Okay, so then him and Ginny are at the burrow together, okay? And here's what ensues at night, late at night, when they should be asleep and not each other. He still doesn't move. He's having another fucked up dream, he decides suddenly. There is no end to the tricks his subconscious delights in playing on him. Martin Miggs, the mad muggle who likes to eat bits of airplane metal for Sunday lunch, had nothing on him. Ron Weasley. Wow, this is a woman worth $8 million. Ron Weasley, who can only jerk himself off to mental images of his two best friends fucking. Ron Weasley, who holds still without moving as his little sister pushes her way in under his arm, curls against his body, and slides her open hand past the drawstring holding his pajama bottoms closed. The muscles in his stomach are jumping wildly, and she is whispering something under her breath, something soft and soothing. breathing, and all the breath leaves his lungs in a startled exhalation as her small hand wraps around him. She arches up, kisses his cheeks, sweet and feather-light. Close your eyes, baby, baby, close your eyes. And the irony of being called baby by his own baby sister is not lost on him, but he closes his eyes nevertheless. His arm is around her, his fingers knot themselves in her hair as her tight hand is stroking up and down the length of him, and nobody else has ever touched him like this before, and it is nothing like touching himself. He remembers the maps on the wall in Lupin's study. Here there are dragons, here there are mermaids, here there is unknown country. Here there is a body of all softness pressed against him, and he is shaking and arching himself upward hard against her hand and wondering if she knows his rhythm from years of listening to him through the wall, or if it is simply that his needs are simple and easy to decipher, and then he doesn't care because he climaxes with a choking gasp and it's over. She leaves her hand where it is and smiles up at him. In the half light, her eyes are the color of walnut shells, dark and polished. At one point he asks, "Did you and Harry ever and she's like, no, never." Yeah, because there's no sex in Harry Potter, as there should not be, as they are middle grade books. Yeah. And he's like so relieved that they didn't bone. Honestly, same, but for different reasons. Thanks. In a different scene, Ginny says, "Do you think she takes his clothes off for him?" Talking about Harry and Hermione. Ginny says softly, and she is leaning towards him, her hands following her voice, sliding across his stomach, blah, blah, blah. Does she unbuckle his belt and slide his zipper down, or does she let him do it? Does she sit and watch him and touch herself? She is half in his lap now, straddling him, her nightgown rucked up around the tops of her thighs. She smells of girl, damp and heavy of sweet and rain. What? Sweat and rain. Jesus Christ, Rachel. You can touch me if you want to. My God. Ew. I would love at this point for Cassandra to step into this conversation and tell me what exactly the point of this is, because she claimed it was intellectual. It's not. It's just gross. Tell me why you wrote this. In another scene, this time he is determined to make it last longer, and while his hands fumble at the zipper on his jeans, he thinks he might have a chance, but then he's inside her and she's arched and trembling against him, and her hands are clenching and unclenching on the banister railing, the same railing they used to slide down their way to breakfast when he was 10 years old, racing each other. Oh my God, the run-on sentences. Why? Her fingernails scratch against the wood now, and the muscles in her legs are tensed and shaking, and she says his name twice, and then not to stop, but it's over. He doesn't want to let go, and he can't help it. His arms tighten around her as he comes, as if she's, oh Jesus, these fucking run-on sentences! As if he's afraid he might lose her, even though he knows he is the one who is falling and she is not. He blinks sweat out of his eyes. He opens them and sees her looking down at him, looking the way she had when he had cut his finger on poison weed. "I keep trying to wait for you, but I just can't." She kisses his forehead and says, "You always did get to do everything first." I wish I were dead. Alright, this is the last excerpt. Ready? They are in the kitchen. Ron is sitting on the floor, a copy of Simple Household Spells open in front of him, trying to figure out how to fix the broken leg on the breakfast table. Ginny is leaning against the cupboards, holding a wet dish towel to her throat, letting the cool water run down the open neck of her blouse. She's gazing at him dreamily. Oh boy, Rachel. Her eyes full of distance and heat. "It's weird," she says, "with just us here. I feel like this is our house and we're married, like Mom and Dad when they were younger and didn't have any of us." Oh shoot, I missed the opportunity to read all of this in a British accent. I'm so sorry. Ron looks up at her and says, "Yeah, but did Dad even throw Mom down on the breakfast table and—" "Ron, gross, yuck," Ginny shrieks. Oh my God, Ginny, same. Ron, gross, yuck. In the end, Harry and Hermione have broken up, and Ron sees Harry and Ginny together, and he's like, what the fuck? She, and I quote, "used him for practice," which was, yikes. Again, I just want to remind you that the name of that was The Mortal Instruments, okay? The same name as the first trilogy in the Shadowhunters universe that Cassandra wrote. So many other things she could have named it, but she wanted to name it that. Kept it the same as her Ron and Ginny incest fic. So we've established now that she has been writing, at least since the early 2000s, brothers and sisters in incest fic, okay? So let's move on knowing that context. Along comes City of Bones, which is the first in this series. The first in the Mortal Instruments 2.0 that Cassandra Clare, without an I, writes. We have Clary, our our main character, who gets drawn in to the Shadowhunter world after witnessing a dude named Jace and company murder a dude at a club. So she meets Jace, this Shadowhunter, and they start flirting. After their first encounter at the club, Jace becomes super curious about Clary. He brings her to the institute where the other Shadowhunters are. Initially, he's like cold towards her unless he's flirting with her, so you know, the typical teen angst. So they start growing closer as they're looking for Clary's mother, who went missing, and eventually they share a little smoochy smooch. And then suddenly their blossoming romance comes to a screeching halt when Valentine, Clary's father, shows up and tells them, hey, by the way, that's my son, y'all are siblings. So hope there wasn't a romance between you two, because y'all are siblings.
Finally, both my children together, my daughter and my son. I'm so sorry, Clary. In fact, I am your father, Clary, and Jace's. Think about it. Why are the two of you so drawn together?
So in the next book, they try to... Which one is the next book? Is it this one? It is, this one. So in the next book, City of Ashes... God, this thing's disgusting. They try to like have a familial relationship, but the whole time they're battling feelings for each other. It's creepy. So Clary tries to briefly move on by dating her long-term best friend Simon, who she just treats like shit, honestly. But this ends because the Seelie Queen, they go to see the Seelie Queen, and she's forced by the Seelie Queen to have the kiss that she most desires, and she doesn't kiss her boyfriend Simon, she kisses her brother, Jace.
The kiss that will set them free is the kiss you most desire.
Clary, just kiss me so we can go home.
Why are the vines still here?
Why do you think? You can fool yourself, but not the Vitus Veritas.
This means nothing.
So in City of Ashes, at some point in this fucking book, Jace says the line that will forever be scarred into all of our brains, and since I had to suffer through it, now you get to. So y'all who haven't read the books get to suffer with me. I wish I could hate you. I want to hate you. I try to hate you. It would be so much easier if I did hate you. Sometimes I think I do hate you, and then I see you and oh wait, that's not the line. Not yet. Some guys look at you like they want sex. Jace looks at you, Clary, like you've already had sex. It was great, and now you're just friends even though you want more. Drives girls crazy, you know what I mean? No, Clary said. I guess you wouldn't, being his sister. Okay. Oh wait, that wasn't the line. Here's the line. You're my sister, he finally said. My sister, my blood, my family. I should want to protect you. He laughed soundlessly and without any humor. To protect you from the sort of boys who want to do it with you exactly what I want to do. Clary's breath caught. You said you just wanted to be my brother from now on. I lied, he said. So anyways, gross. Clary uncovers more about her Shadowhunter past, and in the next book, I believe, she meets this guy named Sebastian. Eventually, Sebastian kisses Clary, okay? Remember that, because it's going to be important. Jace and Clary, still thinking they're siblings, confess their love for each other and have a heated kiss, and Clary pulls back because she's like, ooh, I'm not sure if Jace's feelings for me aren't as a result of demon blood. Then she finally finds her mom, and her mom tells her the truth. Jace was raised by Valentine, but is not Valentine's biological son. You know who is Valentine's biological son? Sebastian. The other brother who kissed Clary. Her other brother. Just kissing both her brothers. Figurative and literal. Kissing all of the brothers that she could possibly have. Why? Sebastian in later books wants Clary to rule by his side in an incestuous relationship, and in City of Lost Souls, do I have that one? He tries to sexually assault Clary in City of Lost Souls. Cassie talks about this on her Tumblr page, saying the incestuous sexual assault in City of Lost Souls is committed by the villain, a child murderer who is planning genocide and is obsessed with control and power. While the scene is certainly upsetting and could be triggering, it is there to show that this character is beyond sympathy or redemption, and for the most part, that's the reaction I've seen. I've tried to like Sebastian, but then he tried to rape Clary, and I hate his guts now. And this is the thing that she has time and time again tried to frame as her purpose in writing incest. In another Tumblr post, she talks at length about this and tries her very best to convince, gaslight you, that she's just trying to show the evils of incest. Her villains are so evil. They're so incesty and evil, right? I just want to flat out say that Cassie's own history proves that this is bullshit, and she's trying to typey her way out of accountability. For instance, before I even read you the Tumblr post, 3 years before she writes this Tumblr post, okay, trying to lie about why she writes incest, she says on Twitter, July 20th, 2010, can you remember the very first, most basic storyline you had for Mortal Instruments? 1. New York. 2. Magical tattoos. 3. Sarcasm. 4. Incest. Your only theme that you were interested in doing was incest. I'll get to more proof that she's full of shit afterwards, but first I'm going to read you this Tumblr post of hers, okay? So this is from Cassie on 2013, in November of 2013, and the title is On Incest in Literature / the Mortal Instruments. Trigger warning for discussion of incest, sexual threat, and cannibalism, also Hannibal spoilers. She gets a question, allegedly, from a reader that says, hello Cassie, I'm a huge fan of the Mortal Instruments. I absolutely adore your writing and your characters. I do have a genuine question though. Why is incest such a recurring theme in the Mortal Instruments? Because she likes it. Please don't think I'm criticizing your work. I am though. I'm criticizing her work. I just think it's interesting because in Game of Thrones there's motive for incest, like keeping the bloodlines pure and royal, but in TMI it just seems to be genuine I'm in lust with my sibling, and I'd just like to know why you chose such a typically tabooed recurring theme for your books. Thank you for writing this series. Congratulations on finishing City of Heavenly Fire. Can't wait to read it. I read it. It wasn't very good. Oh wait, that's not it. Where's Heavenly Fire? Dang, do I even own it? Fuck if I know. So this post is very long. So first she brings up Hannibal, saying that just because there's cannibalism in Hannibal does not mean that the people are saying cannibalism good. Cute, but disingenuous. Why bring up Hannibal? Because I would venture a guess that the most writers write about incest, cannibalism, and other taboo topics because they're taboo, rather than despite or coincidentally. Things that are taboo and forbidden have a lot of cultural and social weight. They also provide conflict without which you have no plot. Hannibal is a cannibal for a reason. You could have had plot though without your incest. You did not. If I were to give her the benefit of the doubt, which I can't because I know she's a liar, and say, okay, you wanted to write about this because you wanted to explore this as a theme, then you did a bad job. And you kept doing it and continued to do a bad job. Anyway, as for incest plotlines, the example of Game of Thrones is sort of an interesting one. It is not, I suspect, as if George R.R. Martin sat down and thought, I'd better keep those bloodlines pure. Drat, that means incest. I don't want to write about that, but now I have to. If he hadn't wanted to, he would have. Incest is a recurrent theme in Game of Thrones because, I would guess, I can't read George's mind, he was drawing on actual history. The Egyptian royal family intermarried to keep the bloodlines pure, and because it was what the Egyptian gods did, and kings have always wanted to be like gods. More on that in a bit. Incest in literature is often thematically used to signify decadence and moral corruption in a family, and also in a nation. The Targaryens committed incest, and their family rotted away into insanity, their rule crumbling. This is echoed with Jaime Cersei's relationship and Joffrey being insane and evil because he's the offspring of incest, probably, who knows. Okay, that just ignored the fact that Tommen and his sister were not evil. This is so... You can't possibly believe your own bullshit. This is nonsense. Anyway, it also ignores Jaime's attempt at a redemption arc. What? Oh my god. Certainly their relationship is played romantically, though grossing out everyone in world who finds out, whereas in fact no one in the Mortal Instruments is in love with their siblings. I guess Sebastian has some debatable feelings about Clary, but they aren't clear, and they sure aren't mutual, and Jace and Clary briefly think they're related but aren't, which is not incest. This is disingenuous because what she wrote was that even when they thought they were siblings, they were confessing their love to each other and making out, thus deciding that they were okay with an incestuous relationship. It does not matter that later you retconned that. What matters is that the choice your characters made was to be together even though they knew they were siblings. Anyway, on top of this, it's not even the first time you did that. You did it with Ron and Ginny back in 2004. You're a liar. So I guess the question is, why write about incest as a theme at all? There are many answers. Incest isn't an uncommon theme in books as many seem to think. It's really common, and it's very common in fantasy because a lot of fantasy draws on mythology, and mythology is full of incest because again it's taboo and carries with it a huge cultural, psychological, and social weight. Again, if this is true, then you saw that and then did a bad job trying to explore that on your own, if that were true, which it's not. You're trying to give an intellectual answer to hide the fact that you have an incest kink. By the way, she's gonna admit she has an incest kink. We'll get there. She talks about incest in all kinds of books, including in Tolkien's books, in Celtic myth and Norse myth. Incest is fictional literary shorthand for concepts that often can't be conveyed in another way, because writing about it, you carry forward the weight of literally thousands of years of writing on this topic in folklore, myth, and fiction. So why incest in the Mortal Instruments? Well, in the case of Jason Clary, though they aren't actually related, it falls into the framework of they didn't know they were related, like in Tolkien stories. These stories about inadvertent sin, they are stories about perfectly good people who are doing something they think is good, which then becomes a revelation they are powerless to control or predict, and find out they have done something terrible instead. But they decide not to be together, and then they decide that they love each other anyway. It was not about inadvertent sin. It was about writing something taboo that makes you hot under the collar. That's it. Like, just say that. In TMI, the aspect of things is actually more about Jace and Clary. Not that Clary is super happy that the guy she fell in love with turned out to be her brother, but Jace is the one whose personhood and selfhood is caught up and defined by whether or not he thinks he's a good person, by ideas of sin and sacrifice, and more specifically, by what it means to him to be his father's son. But you didn't have to do that by using incest. And again, if that is the theme you were trying to explore, you did it poorly using incest. Very poorly. In fact, so poorly that your reader had to ask you, why are you continually writing about incest? Because they didn't pick up on that being your theme or your exploration topic. Hello? As for the instance of Sebastian's incesty feelings, they have a purpose as well. To go back to Greek mythology, the gods committed incest all the time. And basically she's saying Sebastian wants to be like a god. Okay, but again, if your readership is not picking up on that being your theme, then I doubt that that was actually what you were trying to convey. She brings up Gladiator and how the villain, Commodus, talks about wanting to be in an incestuous relationship with his sister, but it is very clear that Commodus is the villain and that he is using incest to further promote his power. And it was just one smidgen of a detail of Commodus being a bad person, whereas Sebastian kissed Clary in one book, tried to sexually assault Clary in another book, and Jace and Clary are literally confessing their love for each other while they think they're siblings. I don't know how you can possibly draw a comparison. Like, a 2-hour-long movie did a better job at paying basically almost lip service to the idea of people in power using incest as a way to maintain power than you did across 7 books. So I think that you're lying. And then she's like, you know, all kinds of books contain incest. I have a whole bunch of recommendations. Interesting that one of her recommendations is different than a previous time where she recommended an incest book, but I'll get there in a second. She says, if you want to check up on this, you can find a list of books about incest here on Amazon. Mortal Instruments has been booted off the list due to not containing any actual incest. The person who made the list seems slightly mad at me. I feel bad, though you will be happy to know that the Song of Ice and Fire remains. Okay. She didn't start having this take this hard that incest in her work was to showcase evil until around 2012. Here's a tweet showing her arguing with somebody about it. What part of Totally Evil do you not understand? Probably the reason we're all confused is that you wrote incest into your works not once, not twice, but 3 times. And then there's your tweets and interviews up until 2012 that show you having a different attitude. Also, did you all notice that in that long ass Tumblr post, she never brings up the original Mortal Instruments where she wrote Ron and Ginny fanfic? Never came up. Interesting. There was no plot. There was only brother-sister fucking. So again, ma'am, you cannot gaslight me. Again, and this is all a major change in tune from not only the original Mortal Instruments, Ron and Ginny fucking, it ignores the fact that the Mortal Instruments series did not need part of the stakes in the plot to be brother-sister incest twice. She definitely could have written other stakes easily and the plot could have basically remained the same. Unless she's admitting that she's a writer who can only write about one thing, which in that case, agreed. But it also ignores her literal own words. So for instance, back in 2006, she gave an interview where she said, someone named Emma asks, what's your biggest kink in fic? And she said, I love incest fic. I love Weasley-cest, Ron Ginny, probably. Brother-sister incest is one of my biggest kinks. I have a huge collection of books about it that my friend Pacha has recommended to me. She did a long paper for Nimbus on incest tropes in Harry Potter, and I was like, awesome. She gave me a list of books. Or this tweet from 2011. I return in my Twitter stream is full of entitled Incest Book Recommendations. Wasteland by Francesca Block is, yes, incest, and also wonderful, and it's young adult. By the way, that book is about two siblings. The older brother is in love with his younger sister and then kills himself to free her. That is the incest book that Cassie recommended in 2011. Funny that it's off her list of recommendations by the time she makes this long-ass Tumblr post talking about how incest is just a theme I write about in fiction in 2013. Interesting that after 2012 we have a change in tune. But sure, it's all about writing believable villains and being the new George R.R. Martin, right, Judith? 10 days later, in 2011, on Twitter she writes, I always wanted to be the crazy lady writing about incest. Congrats! You did it. Dream achieved. You wrote about it 3 times. She later claimed that, again in 2011, because the incest stuff is based on a true story that fascinated me, writers are interested in weird things. It's how we are. Okay, what true story? And why would you not bring this up in that long-ass Tumblr post? Weird. It's almost like you can't keep your story straight because you're full of shit. So it's not about Greek mythology then. You are walking back that statement about the incest kink now and instead going with it's about a true story, but then in 2012 you're gonna say it's about Greek mythology. Which one is it, babe? Also, which incest was based on a true story? Was it your Ron and Ginny fic? Was it Clary and Jace? Or was it Clary and Sebastian? I need you to be more clear. I just get so confused because all 3 exist and all 3 are under the name Mortal Instruments. So it's just, I can't keep track. But then just a few years after this, it shows you that she really just loves the idea of siblings fucking. That's really all this is. And you know what? Fine. Just say that. Stop lying about it. Just say you're into it instead of waxing poetic about Greek mythology and theme and subtext, because you said it yourself. In 2015, she was asked Delena or Stellena, as in from the Vampire Diaries. Damon Stefan, I don't know why everyone doesn't ship it. And when someone said to her, they're brothers, she said, that makes it better. I also have a tweet from a now deleted Twitter account, and I cannot find the interview that they're referencing, but allegedly in 2006, she said in a 2006 interview, she claimed she found it weird that a man was arrested for having stories about underage kids having sex on his computer when that's technically child pornography. She also immediately compares about writing underage sex to writing about gay characters, which heavily suggests fetishization of gay men. I did try to look up this transcript, but it is nowhere to be found. So if you know where it is, you can leave it in the comments, I guess. So I don't know if that is verified or not, but that is what some account who was dedicated to exposing Cassandra Clare said a few years back. She also has said just like weird shit. Like somebody said about her, I honestly bet she was worried about parents getting pissed about SC. I'm not sure what SC is. And she responded, but I totally expected them to embrace the incest. I don't know if that was sarcasm or not. And then also she talks about how like Alec, some people bring up Alec and Jace being raised as basically siblings, and then Alec being into Jace in the Mortal Instrument series. And she's right. They were not related technically. That's not incest. And I think that being like raised as best friends slash brothers, I'm willing to allow her to toe that line. But this is the same woman who wrote Ron and Ginny fucking 10,000 words of it for no reason, and then had Clary kissing not 1 but 2 of her brothers. And it doesn't count just because she walked back Jace being her brother. Clary kissed someone who she thought was her brother, and Sebastian kissed Clary knowing that was his sister. And then she changed her story about why she writes incest several different times. This is a woman who likes to write about incest just for kicks and kinks, and I wish she'd just say it out loud. Anyway, there you go. There is a comprehensive list of all of the controversies surrounding Cassandra Clare and incest. Hope you found this helpful in understanding what people are talking about when they refer to Cassie Clare's incest. And for all of you who are like, I don't care, she gets to write incest as a treat. You're weird. You're weird as hell. It's weird. That's fucking weird to say out loud. Stop. Shut up. Stop talking. Shut up. Shut the fuck up. Shut up. No more speaking. No more internet for you. Shut up. Alright, like and subscribe. Leave your comments and questions down below. If you want to join Patreon, you can. Or you can dislike this video and tell me to fuck off. I don't care. I'm sure the stans are upset. They're always mad at me for bringing up the incest. It's like, well, I insist that you shut the fuck up. Okay, I'm not doing that joke anymore. It's bad. It's really bad. All right, like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Okay, bye.